Greetings, cyberspace cadets. It's Irate Prostate again with the lovely Viper Sword. And after a complete fluster cluck, we're back and we're here to do the ice cream interview. So, you doing okay?
Yeah, I think Discord and OBS did not like us today.
I don't know what the hell was going on, man. Because I was picking up fine, and I apologize for that.
Don't worry about it.
But hey, now we're rocking and rolling, and we're just waiting for some people to show up.
Methodos, Ace of Skulls, Hannibal O'Neill, and Sarah Diamantina here.
Fantastic.
So, hi guys, again.
I'll say hey to everybody.
So, let's see. that was a one way to start off this interview.
Yeah, it was really weird. Okay, so all right, so the way that I always open these is that I ask the person, what was their main reason for getting on YouTube, and they couldn't hear your response at all. So you want to start back at the top of that?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, everybody knows the story. It's basically the old Jabberwocky herself, Anita Sarkeesian. I saw her videos when she started up on Feminist Frequency, talking about such things as damsels in distress and, just how video games are sexist towards women. And I've been playing games for a while. I'm not like a thorough game addict or whatever. I'm not like, oh my god, gaming is the best ever. But I had played some games in the past and I never really found a problem with them. And what she was saying didn't make sense to me. And it probably, and at first I thought, well, it's probably because how I was raised. I've never really felt like there was anything sexist or anything at all. So I started to look around and see, what were people saying about it? Were people agreeing, disagreeing? And there weren't a lot of women disagreeing with her. And every time I kept, it's more like there weren't any, and there weren't any really agreeing with her. They were just all in the blogs going, oh my god, Anita is so amazing. And I'm going like, okay, I've got to say something. So I just started making videos. The really rubbish videos of back in the early years of Viper Sword.
And so, well, speaking of, right, where did the name Viper Sword come from? How did you come with that?
So it just came to me in a way. I've always had a different pen name that I usually went by, but I wanted something different on YouTube just to kind of separate things that I do on, other things, just in case some people make the connection and go, you are that person. So it was, in a way, it's a love of my two things. I love snakes. I think that they are mysterious creatures, and vipers particularly. Yeah. But because they wouldn't accept Viper on its own, I had to put it with something else. And I was kind of looking around, and there was like, my archery sets and everything like that. And I went, Viper Arrow. But then the image of the Conan the movie with the snake arrows kind of popped into my head, and I'm going, nope. What's another weapon that I like? Sword. There we go, sword. And I made the username back in the days when you needed numbers at the end of your name to start a YouTube channel. So I just put in the 100 back then. I've now taken it off now, but. Back in the days, you needed the 100 or a sort of number in your name. I don't know why, YouTube. I don't know why, but there you go.
Yeah, that was kind of odd, wasn't it? And you know, you're one of the few people, and that, you know, see, this is why I really wanted to do an interview with you, is because you're so interesting, and what makes you really unique is you're one of the few people that have that created your own avatar. And you actually, you know, took the time. You drew your avatar. You know, there's a couple other YouTubers out there, but I've got you in the studio now, so I'm going to ask you, what's your idea? What's the idea behind your avatar? Because I see a young lady who's got a sword behind her, right? She, I would imagine, and then some kind of. Tell me about the thing around your head.
Okay. Well, it wasn't always this avatar that I had. I did go through many avatars before I settled on this one. My first avatar was a picture by one of my favorite artists called Annie Stokes, and that was Dragon Reflection, and it was simply a woman with a sword, whose reflection on that looked like one side of her face was part dragon, and you know it fitted the theme. But I thought, as I'm starting a channel, I need something of my own, and way before I had GIMP and way before I knew of like avatar making sites, I drew a little VS with a snake in paint. So that was like there for a few weeks until behold my avatar that will never change now because I love it. But it's basically an amalgamation of different things that I like. The tiara, which is around my head, it's basically to show that my love of Sailor Moon. It's showing my anime side of me, even though that the style of my avatar is anime. It's showing a particular love to an anime that I like. I grew up with Sailor Moon.
Right.
And the color of the gem is green because Sailor Jupiter was my favorite Sailor Scout. So that's all there is to it. The orange T-shirt is to symbolize the Percy Jackson book series that I liked, because the Half-Blood camp where the demigods, the Greek demigods, reside, have orange T-shirts. So yeah, and the beaded necklace and the shark tooth, again, it's kind of to fit in with the demigod in the Percy Jackson series. And the sword, well, Viper sword. So yeah.
That's excellent. You know, it's like I remember watching the Percy Jackson movie, and
Ugh.
well, but to be honest, see, I didn't know anything about the books, or you know what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
and I said, hold on now, this is Perseus." You know, I was thinking
Yeah.
this is like a bad ripoff of Perseus or something. But I ended up enjoying the film actually. So, but that, you know, that's me.
Yeah.
Uh,
The books are very different. The film is loosely based on the books. You've got the characters. I mean, they've changed Grover. Grover is not black in the book. He's ginger. He has no soul. So, you know, Grover the satyr is ginger, and you know he's obsessed with trying to find Pan, the god of all of nature, and he's always playing with a pan flute that he's got tied around his neck. You know, he was very timid. He wasn't a girl chaser. You know, so the film is. I have my problems with it because I love the books. I love the book series, and if there's one person that I felt like they did a very big injustice to, it was definitely Annabeth. So, anyway, moving on.
well, all right. So you're talking about books, but okay. Aside from series and things like that, what's your favorite like book that you know you know that tells us, you know, would tell me more about you? Like what book that's your favorite book you keep going back to, or something that you read maybe once that just is always stuck with you. Um,
In my favorite book series, I would have to say, is the Percy Jackson. But my favorite book, the one that has really stuck with me,
mm-hmm.
I would have to say of Mice and Men.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great. Talk to
Yeah.
me about that. Tell me about it.
Well, I only started reading it because it was it when I was in college. Because when I was in high school, I did poorly in English, surprisingly. In college, I had to retake my English test, and what happened was it was going to be part of an assignment, and my dad personally bought me the book, saying, "Here, since it's going to be, an assignment of yours, why not read it?" So I did, and the themes in it, the characters, and I cried at the end. Think of the rabbits and things like that. So it
Yeah.
was, yeah, that has always stuck with me because it wasn't bogged down with so much modern day stuff. And before that, I was forced to read the Harry Potter series. I did not really enjoy it that much. But Of Mice and Men was totally different, and I'm like, I like this. I like this, and it's just stuck with me. I think reading it once is all I really needed, because it's that heavy of a book.
Yeah, I got you on that, man. Because some book will take so much out of you that the idea of picking up again and reading it, it's just a daunting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. That's a great book. So yeah. Let's see. Um, all right, we'll flip to something a little bit different. How about are there any like foods or that from your childhood that you hated that you still hate today?
Brussels sprouts. I hate Brussels sprouts.
Those mini cabbages, tiny
I'm
little.
fine. Yeah, I'm fine with cabbage and lettuce and things like that, but Brussels sprouts, no, just no.
That's a real common one. That's interesting. That's I don't know. I always like to ask questions like that. Also, it's like, when was there a moment that you can remember when you realized that you weren't a child anymore? I don't know. There was a moment for me that I can really recall the moment, when I realized I wasn't a kid. Well, what about you?
Yeah, the moment I realized I wasn't a kid, well, my dad says I've never really left my first childhood. I've never really left it. And it's true, because I still cling on to the childhood memories, but I think I realized I wasn't a kid anymore, like properly a kid, of when I got into college, and I really started to think, really needed to start thinking about my future. And then the whole shit went on with my mum, and now I ended up being her carer. So it was like, I've just gone from kid to adult like that. So,
Wow, what happened? If you don't mind me asking.
I don't mind. I've had to explain this many times before, so it's kind of a routine now. My mum was a prison officer, and she was escorting people, I believe prisoners, but back to the cells, and she'd already pulled a muscle previously. I think she was, again, it was on a walkabout around the prison. I don't remember exactly how she got the pulled muscle, but as she was escorting people around the prison or back to the cells, she felt a wet tear in her calf, and it. She said, I was in a lot of pain, but she had to grit her teeth and get on with the day. And when she went to the doctors, they said, you've torn a calf muscle. So they gave her 6 weeks to get back on the mend, and it didn't work. She did all the exercises, she went to the physiotherapist and everything, and just wasn't healing right. So the doctors gave her a further 6 weeks, and still wasn't going right. And it started out that she couldn't go back to work. She couldn't walk properly. She went from walking fine to being on a cane and walking even slower than usual, and then from a cane to a wheelchair. And she couldn't walk. She couldn't put any weight on her foot whatsoever. Her foot started to turn inwards and the skin started to go purple. We then later found out that she got a condition called chronic regional pain syndrome, which is when you can damage any part of you. Doesn't matter. You can damage any part of you, whether it be your arms, your legs, whatever. But your brain continuously sends pain messages down spine and into that limb. And over time, you can't use that limb anymore because it's that painful. And it actually thinks that the limb is gone as time goes on. So, she went through hell with it until she had her left leg amputated above the knee. And that was several years after we found out what it was. She went through physiotherapy to try and get the leg right, but it was too far gone. So she had to have it chopped off, basically. And she was totally fine with it because it was like the leg wasn't there anyway.
Right.
And she was actually one of the worst cases, actually the worst case of chronic regional pain syndrome that the doctors have ever seen. And unfortunately, the symptoms have jumped to her other leg. And they said that's very common. If for the symptoms to jump to a similar limb. So she's now got it in her right leg. So it's like you're gonna have two peg legs by the end of this, Mum. You're right, cripple. So I mean, we call her cyborg, we call her cripple. We always try and keep her laughing about it. And the one thing that she is determined not to lose the leg that she has remaining, and she's always doing her exercises. To trying to keep the foot moving, because that's the main thing. If the foot stops moving, then that's it. She can't do anything. So she's always got to wiggle her toes, always got to move her foot, to keep blood circulation going, and also, just to keep the leg healthy. And also to tell the brain, essentially, I've still got a leg, you damn brain. And yeah. But she says, I will not give up my independence, so, and she's very happy because she's now got a new car. So she's like, I've gained a bit more independence back, but yeah. And I had to take care of her, for several years. Now my brother is now doing that, because hey, I've got YouTube and the t-shirt business to do. So
right, so but that's that takes a lot of love and devotion, to put in to do that. So that's
I wouldn't really call it love and devotion. Well, I guess some people would, but it was like, Mum's taking care of me. It's time for me to take care of my mum.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I'll have to take care of my dad.
Right.
When he's old and senile, I'll have to take care of him, and possibly when he's stopped playing field hockey. So yeah. I'm sorry, everybody, for that.
No, that was actually an excellent answer to the question. It's well, all right, we'll kind of switch gears here and get to, all right, what is your favorite sci-fi or horror film? One in particular.
Horror film, I would Wishmaster.
Oh yeah.
Wishmaster. It may be cheesy, it may be silly, but I love it because I love how the genie twists the wishes of the people that he comes into contact with.
Right. It's always like making that deal with the devil.
Yeah.
It's the fine print.
Yeah, exactly. Man. Yeah. I mean, other than it's safe for sci-fi, I would have to go with Aliens. Just that the way they handled the xenomorph Yes. Nothing has ever beaten it since, for me.
Aliens.
Aliens, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the few, you know, sequels that's actually, been as good as the original, in my opinion. They're two different kinds of films. Really, it's more of an action thriller compared to the first movie, which is kind of like a stuck with a monster kind of in space thing. It was but they're both excellent films. So yeah, it's a good choice. Let's see. I've got this question here. It says, if you could talk to yourself at the age of 8, what would you tell her?
Whatever you do, keep your mouth shut. Basically, I embarrassed myself a lot at 8 years old, and a lot of it was because I would never shut up. Well, I was always a quiet kid anyway, but when I did talk, a lot of embarrassing things would come out. So, yeah, just keep your mouth shut. But also tell mum and dad things, and don't be afraid to tell them. Because it was round about that time that my evil grandma started to come into my life and started to babysit me and my sister. Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't full blown until a few years later, but that's when she started coming in.
So, all right. Why don't you extrapolate on that? Because I'm not sure.
My evil, wicked witch of the West grandmother. Well, I don't even want to use a real name at the moment because she's evil, and I don't want to dox myself just in case. I mean, she's got like a very common name anyway, but she's my dad's mum, and the relationship between her and my dad was already very, very strained. Even as a kid, you can tell that there was something not quite right because whenever I went to go see my grandma, my mum's mum, he had more of a relationship with her than he did with his own mother. And I never really understood why when I was a little kid. And she, when my grandmother came round, at first it was just whisperings in my ear. They don't love you. And I just, what? And she'd go, oh, nothing. Yeah, and over the years, my brother was born when I was 9. So when I was 11-ish, started going to high school and everything. And that's when she really started to abuse me. She would manipulate me. She would tell me things like, your parents don't love you. You were just an accident. They really love your sister and brother. They don't love you. She'd make me cut her toenails. She'd just like, I need my toenails cutting, do them. She'd never get anybody else to do it. It was just me. And then she, when my dad started, he had to leave for work a bit later and everything. I had to end up cooking tea, because she wouldn't do it. My dad actually expected her to cook for us, for me and my brother and sister, but she wouldn't, and I would end up cooking. So that's why I'm a great cook, people. I learned. But then it escalated to where she was a smoker. She would smoke like 20 a day. And she would stand out in the back garden and she would call me, make me stand in the conservatory. She wouldn't say anything. and then she'd just take a drag of a cigarette and then blow the smoke in my face. And I can't stand it. You know, I hated my uncles for smoking, and one of them smokes a pipe. You know, but my mum and dad don't smoke. You know, only my dad drinks. But you know, and my mum, she kept on coming home, and I was smelling of cigarette smoke, and she thought I was smoking, and I wasn't. It was her breathing the smoke into my face, so it would cling to my hair and everything, and I hated it, and that's actually what ended up me getting asthma. And then the final abuse was when my dad started to come home late or early, she would have me in the kitchen, and my brother and sister would go greet my dad, go, "Dad, you home?" And she would actually grab me on my upper arm, and even back then I was a fat kid. Or I was less fat than I was, but that's the reason why I abused food in a way, because she would always call me ugly, and I'd never amount to much, and did all these things going to my looks and everything, you know. And what she would do is she would grip the top of my arm and dig her nails into the back of my arm to make me stay in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And you know, if I pulled away, she'd dig her nails in more. And there was a time that she nearly broke skin with those nails. But I would always wear long sleeves because on the back of my arms would have bruises. So this is why I hate showing off my body. I hate showing off my arms. This is why I don't think of myself as pretty or cute. You know, I don't see that. So
yeah, it seems like, you know, I've been through. It's interesting because I went through some similar shit. It's like we internalize those messages, you know. And right to where at some point, you know, we start hearing in our own minds those negative signals being sent over and over again, and you know, I had to do therapy, you know, to help with it because it was really bad for me. And
yeah, I mean, what I didn't tell anybody until I knew she was, you know, she was never coming back. I never told my parents. And the reason why I never told anybody, I never even told my friends. It's only recently that I've only started talking about this, was because I thought that if I told somebody, she would move on to my brother and sister. And I didn't want that for them. I may, you know, be the big sister, and I may, like, you know, well, shut up, you know, your viper siblings, go away, don't want anything to do with you, you know. But I didn't want them to go through what I was going through. And there was a time when my family was evicted from our house because there was something going on with the mortgage, and we had to live with her for 6 months. So for 6 months, she had complete access to abuse me. You know, she would beat me, you know, in her own way, and also psychologically torment me. She would always, whenever it was me and her, and I was trying to do work for college, you know, why are you doing that? You'll never amount to much, you know. And yeah, those things that she has said to me, you know, you're not cute, you're not pretty, you know, you'll never find a man, you'll never amount to much, you're stupid, they'll stick with me. And no matter how much anybody tells me the opposite, no matter how much I try and think the opposite, it's always there. And I'm trying to get over it. It's just hard. So
yeah, you know, it's like that's so, you know, people don't understand that you know, psychological abuse and scarring can be a, you know,
Mm.
more devastating than like physical abuse, you know. Um,
Yeah.
uh, uh, and so, my heart goes out to you on that because I had to go through therapy and get what was real effective with me was using affirmations. It looked stupid, but
Mm.
my therapist said take these words and put them on sticky notes all over where you can see them. Like I had one over the toilet and one in the mirror.
Mm.
That said stuff like you're lovable, you're capable, things like that. Um, and it actually helped me for a while. So
Mm.
that's yeah, my heart goes out to you on that.
Mm.
Um,
And just to say to like Uzi, of course you didn't know Uzi. I didn't tell you. So don't worry about it. And I only tell people who ask. It's not like I'm going to go out there every day of my life going, I was a victim of abuse. Feel sorry for me. I'm not like that. It's a part of my life. I'm dealing with it.
Well, do you think that you get along with like men better than women? Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I always have. Even before this whole, I mean, I think the abuse has definitely, made me lean more towards having more friendships with men. But even before all of that,
mhm,
there were a few female friends that I did have, but they were very similar in personality to me.
right.
Um, but I was always with the guys. I may not have played football with them. Sorry, soccer. On the school field or anything.
That's great.
Uh, but I was always on the sidelines. I did have my interests in sports back then. I was more of a rugby girl than I was, a soccer fan. And then, but yeah, and again, the video games would come up. I'd bring in the Game Boy Color, and I would play Pokemon Go with everybody. While the girls were playing jump rope, I was there with the guys playing, Pokemon battling. Putting my Charizard up against somebody's Lapras or something like that. So,
So
things like that.
yeah. So do you still play a lot of video games?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, but I mean, everybody knows that I'm putting money aside to get a PS4 because I've lost my love for the Xbox One. Well, I still play video games. Video games still interest me. I mean, everybody knows my love for the Mass Effect series. So yeah, if there's a game that interests me, then I'll play it. Yeah, the video game that got me into video gaming was essentially Diablo, when I shouldn't really have been playing it because it was I was underage for it. Yeah. So
What kind of game is that? Because I've never heard of Diablo.
Diablo, it's a very old game now. There was a remake of it, but it's essentially a dungeon crawler. You pick a character. It's very much like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's not multiplayer. It's single player.
Right.
Sorry. So you could either be a barbarian, an Amazon, sorceress, or a necromancer. And I would always choose the Amazon because bows, archery. I've always had a love for that. There's a set story to go through. The end goal is to defeat the big bad guy, which is Diablo. At the end of it, the Lord of Terror, one of the 7 lords, and you have to go through the levels and beat all these monsters, beat the skeletons, beat the zombies and all the big baddies and everything until you beat him, essentially. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's like your basic, go up a level, and then you're, big boss fight at the end,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
But the story, there was a story as well. And that's what made me fall in love with video games, essentially, was hearing the story from old Deckard Cain. You know, how the Lord of Terror, Diablo, you know, ruled one of the realms of hell, and how he escaped, and how you've got to try and defeat him and everything, and all the little side stories as well. So, and then I played Tomb Raider, and it wasn't as good.
All right. Well, I'll move on. Here's a question I ask everybody too: is like, who is your favorite Game of Thrones character and why? Game of Thrones character and why?
I've never watched Game of Thrones.
That's awesome, man. Great answer.
I've never watched it at all, so I can't tell you who the favorite character is.
Well, you're not alone.
Maybe the dragon. Because I love dragons.
There's three of them. There's three of them. So
it's the big black one.
Oh, Drogon. Yes.
Drogon.
Yes. That's awesome. He's Dracarys. That's funny.
Because I've never really watched an episode. I've tried to. I couldn't get into it. You know, but I have seen clips of the dragons, and I like the design and everything, but it's just like, never really watched Game of Thrones.
Okay, let's see. How about all right? How about this? Canned cheese, yes or no?
Canned cheese?
Yeah. Do y'all have that in England? The
no.
The
we don't have that here. We don't have that here. We have canned whipped cream.
Yeah,
but we don't have
but it's cheese. Yeah, exactly.
We don't have it in cheese form.
Well, all right. Here's it. All right. What do you think is the best decision you've made so far as an adult?
None. I don't. I guess I technically don't consider myself an adult yet. I guess starting YouTube.
Okay.
Because, you know, if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met Sir Adamantine. I wouldn't have met Tennessee Marine. I wouldn't have met your boy Pat. I wouldn't have met the people that I have.
Right.
You know, if I had never started YouTube, I would just be sat here in a room. It might not even be this room. It might be, I might still be living with my parents, and they'll be going, "Get a job." You know, but you know, I mean, if I hadn't have started Twitter, I would never have met Max Spur Senpai, who just appeared in the chat.
Well, hey, Max, what's happening?
So, yeah. And now Max Spur saying, "Stop being doctor." Shut up! I'm not. Sorry, I'll stop looking at the chat.
Let's see. Let me get to my questions. Back to my questions. Okay.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom. Right. Okay, that's that. All right. And let's see. So, is there something about you that you don't think people know about you that you want them to know about you? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I can't think of anything at the moment. I really, as I say, I don't hide much, unless, you know, if you ask me stuff, then I'll answer it. You know, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess because I'm used to keeping to myself, I'm not one of these people that go, "Hey, look at me. I'm awesome," and I'm not. So, yeah, I don't really know. I don't know how to answer that one.
Okay, right, fair enough. Let's see. It's all right. Let's, if you want to, we'll talk a little bit about anime.
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite anime series and movie or character? And tell me about them, because I know absolutely nothing about anime. You and Pat have been senpai with as my education on anime. So help me out. Talk to me.
Oh, there's so many anime to choose from. I mean, as I said, Sailor Moon is definitely the anime that got me into watching anime, and it's always going to be there. But the one that made me, you know, really start looking at anime for the Japanese stuff was an anime called Inuyasha.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically about a girl who travels back in time 500 years to the feudal era of Japan, and she gets caught up in chasing demons with this half demon known as Inuyasha, half human, half dog demon. And they have to find the shards of the Shikon no Tama, or the sacred jewel, because Kagome, which is the girl that travels back in time, smashed it or shattered it with an arrow. So they have to go find them. And along the way, they meet with friends, you know, Sango, Moroku, and Shippo. And they have villains like Naraku, and they have anti-heroes like Sashomaru. That's one anime that I will never stop watching. I love it. But I think I would have to go with the series that I love overall is Black Butler, because it's a series that I will always recommend. Except for season 2 of it, I will always recommend it. To go with Black Butler season 1, Book of Circus, and the Book of Atlantis, which is or the Book of the Atlantic, which is a recent movie that's come out at the moment, and it's set in old Victorian England, and you are following the young boy CL. And my favorite character one of my favorite characters out of this is Sebastian the butler. And there's something a bit different about this butler. His catchphrase is, "I'm simply one hell of a butler." And yeah, there's something a bit different about him. And one of my favorite, or another one of my favorite characters is called Grell Sutcliffe. And he is just so over the top, flamboyantly gay. He always makes me laugh, no matter what situation is. He always makes me laugh. And whenever he's around Sebastian, he always goes, "Oh, Bassy." So, like, oh god, I love that character. It's definitely a series I would recommend wholeheartedly, except for season 2. You can forget about season 2. So just literally watch it. But I love too many anime to narrow it down.
Well, yeah. That's kind of why I kind of, wanted to explore that a little bit with you, because it's like it's kind of your thing. Art wise, what artists would you say that your style is influenced by?
I think you can definitely tell that my style is more towards the anime. I would say if I was to go by a studio more than an artist, then I would probably go with A1 Pictures, which is a studio in Japan who makes many of the more popular anime that are out there. I mean, I still haven't really found my own style. I can imitate kind of a style, because I've always been drawing other stuff and, using that as an influence to draw my own characters. But when it comes to anime, I think because there's a loose set of rules that you have to abide by. You've got your face structure, you've got your eye structure and everything. It's easier to create your own sort of style in it. It's not like I can go work at Marvel if I ever wanted to now, and have my own sort of style there. I'm not that good.
I think people would debate that. I think you're very talented. I think that your style is distinct and unique. I can definitely tell your work apart from other anime. And there's some people, to be honest, their anime style is like real. It's like it looks almost like carbon copies of each other, right? Whereas
Yeah,
yours is unique as you've got your own way of doing things with noses and so, I've got a degree in art, so it's like I look for stuff like that, and I appreciate
true.
your style. It's unique, and it tells. I don't know. I can look at it and say that Vipersaur did that one, didn't she? Um, and people don't know that won't know this about you, but she can also do excellent line drawings that look photographic. And, she's that accurate. So her style is definitely her own style that she develops, but her ability is is not to be questioned. I don't think, in my own opinion. You think about talking about art. Who would you say that your favorite artist is, like from like art history type art?
Oh,
Painters,
mm,
sculptors, blah blah blah.
kind of got two artists. One of them being Georgia O'Keeffe, who
Mhm.
was mainly known for her close-ups on drawing flowers and skulls, mainly animal skulls, where she was very into nature, and it was the soft pastels that I really liked that she used for the flowers. But my favorite artist, I would have to say, is Franz Marc.
Oh wow, now
Um,
that's an interesting. Talk to me about Franz Marc. Okay.
Franz Marc, he's French, and he did different styles. He had a rose period, which he was mainly more about countryside scenery. It was very soft, very it was very sort of watercolor. Lots of pinks and pale colors, and that's why it's called the Rose Period. But he's mainly known for his dynamic animal paintings,
Hmm.
where he would show off the muscles in horses and bulls and other such animals, and the way he painted them gave the animals such strength and movement.
Yeah,
Um,
he's I would classify him as a futurist. And
mm,
he had that style that I mean, you can see the movement in his art.
yeah,
Yeah, I see the same thing. I love his stuff. Uh,
yeah.
I'm looking at the blue horses right now.
Mm. I mean,
Um,
that was something that really captured me, because while it still showed strength of the horses, it also showed the caring side of them, or the more herd like mentality that they have, and it was just striking to me. That was one that made me stop and look, and it is always his works have always done that to me.
that blows my mind. I love his stuff too. I mean, I'm a big fan of the futurists, and so and
Mm,
his style is very standout. Um,
hmm.
you know, I'm looking at one called the Fox.
Yeah,
That there's a red fox, and it's just his vibrant. He uses very vibrant,
yeah.
primaries. Yellow yellows, red reds. Blue blues.
Hmm.
There's no question. It's just very sharp and very,
Hmm.
very, very punchy. He likes to
Yeah,
punch you. Um,
yeah.
I love that stuff. So that's excellent. That's excellent. What about music? What's your favorite?
Rock,
Yeah, you got any
rock.
band, any album?
Uh, well, bands I can go Status Quo, um, which I know they haven't really made a name for themselves over in America, but they're very big over here in the UK. Um, they've been going for like plus 40 years. I know that they've had to they've stopped now because one of the lead singers has died. Um, but Status Quo is definitely one. Let's see, they've got like Ted Nugent, Ozzy Osbourne. These are just yeah, these are just people that I've grown up with, you know. Let's see, I'm having to go through my dad's record collection now. Just hold on. That's like 200 albums, maybe. He's got so much.
The Nuge. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So you like some of that old classic metal, Bad Company, things like that?
Yeah. I mean, it's not just like that. It's not just like rock. I also like Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's try it. But also some bands like Celtic Woman as well, and I've even got a soft spot for Enya.
Oh yeah.
You know the let's see, and also there's a band, an Irish band called The Cause, which are a lot of Irish influenced music. So I'm very much a mixed, but I definitely grew up on rock, and a lot of it was Blues Brothers. So.
That's a great album too, isn't it, man? Hey bartender, and and Rubber Biscuit.
Rubber Biscuit.
Rubber Biscuit. What's your favorite album, Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
Oh God. If I heard the song, I'd be able to go yes, but I cannot name it off the top of my head.
Tarkus.
Stop trying to influence me.
Targus is my favorite album, so it's like I think it's a definitive piece if you want to know what they're all about. That album they do everything. So anyway, that's my stuff. We talking about you, girl. Get me off the subject.
You don't need to talk about me. I'm very boring, people.
Am I? Let's see. I think I've covered everything. I think we've touched on everything. Didn't you have? Am I mistaken that you were into like mysteries, like real life mysteries? I don't know why I'm thinking
of, Sam Kempo. I think that's more kind of stuff.
I don't know. I'm thinking of somebody else, but yeah, I apologize for that.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But I had but yeah, we've covered just about everything. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about? We got a couple of minutes before the hour's up, so.
I cannot think off the top of my head. I mean, I think there was some people that wanted me to answer questions from the chat. So maybe we could do that.
All right, yeah. Chat, throw some questions, and I'll ask them to Lady Viper Sword, as she is referred to.
Well, no, only that Sir Adamantine calls me Lady Viper, but everybody else can call me just a Viper or Viper Sword. Or hey you. Apparently Yorkshireman needs to go to work.
Okay, now this is from Methodos. Okay.
Okay.
Why do you hate me? Why don't you hate me? Should pineapple be on pizza? Is it okay to put pineapple on a fruit pizza with a watermelon base? Is cereal soup? Have you ever seen the sun coming down on a rainy day? Will you ever just give up and let Miss Misa do all the horrible, sexy shit that she wants to do with you?
Well, that's a no.
He said we should have some fun with that. So
okay. No, I will not let Misa do whatever she wants to me. She can try, but she'll end up getting a punch in the jaw. Let's see. Cereal is not soup. You can put pineapple on a fruit pizza since it is a watermelon base, but you cannot put pineapple on regular pizza. I have seen the sun come down on a rainy day. It's usually like that over here in England on my way back home. So yes. And I don't hate Methodos at all. And I don't hate Cryptic either, even though that he's just typing over and over again, why does she hate my guts? Behave.
Hey, Cryptic.
So, I don't hate Methodos. I think he's a daft sod sometimes. Bless it.
But aren't we all daft sods at some point, you know?
I will choose when you are a daft sod.
That's right.
So, Adamantino's a good question. Who's my Addy?
Who's your Addy?
You're my Addy, Sir Adamantine. I don't mind saying that.
Yeah, and you know what? I think this is a good place to go ahead and what we'll do is we're going to wrap it up. One quickie. I'd rather be a death sod. I'd rather be a deft sword than a deft sod. Interesting. Nice play on words there, I must say. That was Nick's Radio. Nice to have everybody that I haven't met before. New people, please be sure to subscribe to both me and to Viper Sword, and please hit that like button. Tell all your friends. We both have Streamlabs, so please donate. I got to get a new a new microphone stand, because that's one of the reasons the other thing went tits up earlier. So I found that out during the thing. So the mystery's been solved. No one was tampering with me, as my paranoid mom was saying. But you got anything you want to say, lady, before we go?
Buy my merch. I have merchandise. That's the main important thing that I really want to show. I don't care about Patreon or anything else like that. I don't mind if you don't sub. Buy my merch. I have awesome merch.
Let's see, if I got you to tpublic.com, I've got that down. Yeah, I've got that down for you. So just click on that link and go straight to it. Buy a t-shirt. Buy a MAGA hat.
Well, no. you have to go to golfgear.com to go buy Make Pussy Valuable Again hats.
Ooh.
All hail Blue Whale.
All hail Blue Whale. Krill be upon you all. And on that note, what we're going to do is we're going to call this a completed interview. So, Lady Viper Sword, I thank you so much for coming and spending this time with me, enduring the frustration, and finally we were able to. I think this is one of the. It's really strange that all these interviews, the people are what make them so interesting, and everybody is so unique. And once again, so I come out of the experience thinking I've done the best interview I've done so far. So, and I feel the same way right now. So
I'm glad I could entertain for a bit.
Well, I'm so grateful that you wanted to do this. So thank you very much. And on that note, people, we'll see you next time. Next week, I have it penciled in. I'm not going to say who. I'm going to make sure it's nailed down before but I think Ichabod is scheduled to sit in that chair next week. So that's right. So anyway, on that note, we're going to say goodbye and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And Irate Prostate will be Irate Monday tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Time, U.S. Later.